woke up in the morning because I was dreaming about fixing stuff. But then I realized that I have no power to completely fix anything. So I wanted to find a way to talk to myself, but I guess not myself, about how this political stuff that's going on in the United States is crazy. So I had an idea, right? So I used a couple of different AIs because I think they all give different things. And so here's what I said. I said, evaluate this idea and expand. The US political system is broken by partisanship, specifically because there are only two major parties with power. You know, the other ones, they just adopt whatever a third party or independent does. Two. And because it's unlikely a third party will be allowed to emerge with real power, or, you know, have a parliamentary system like a lot of places in Europe and other places in the world, I think a new requirement would help. And so my idea, and I'm fine with people saying I'm wrong, but see, here's the thing. If I'm wrong, maybe recognize the track I'm going for. Maybe I'm wholly wrong. I don't know. But, you know, arguing just to say you're right is I feel silly, right? I mean, that's the issue that we have now, is we're looking for a person to be completely wrong and for us to be completely right, or something along those lines. But where a requirement would be that you have both houses of Congress in each state to have equal number of delegates from each party. Because if you want to have a party, fine, tribes, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever, right? And so I know it's complicated because, like, in the U.S. federal government, there's the House, the Senate is easy, 2 and 2, 1 and 1, right? But the House is very complicated because of the way the districts are set up. So I looked and I was like, well, what kind of ideas would be there? And so here's what I thought was the most intriguing, and then I'm going to just share with you. So here's what it said. It says re-imaging representation. You need this fruit, man. This fruit right here. Morning fruit, right? Many Americans believe the political system is broken, not because democracy doesn't work, but because the design of representation encourages zero-sum competition. The United States functions as a two-party duopoly, and the result is polarization, obstruction, and voter frustration. And voters keep letting the same people do it. I'm a voter. There's people who are opposed to it, but like the masses. Come on, masses. So my proposal is addressing the root issue, which requires equal representation from both major parties if we must only have two. And one Democrat, one Republican per state in the Senate, and an equal number of House delegates in each party, right? And so rather than reforming election mechanics to allow for more parties, because people are entrenched for now, I'm looking to redesign representation so that every voter in every state is guaranteed a voice. Because there's literally people who think they don't have a voice, and your vote is your voice, right? But then they look and they say, well, you know, because their party didn't win, they don't have a voice. Insanity. So here's why the idea works. In its essence, it says there's guaranteed representation. Every state would always send both partisan perspectives. I think that's important. Conservatism and liberalism or progressivism is important because generationally it matters, even though I'm generally opponent of how the current social narrative of what generations are is. Not a big fan. Voter sees Congress, someone in Congress who reflects their ideology without being radical, right? But the other thing is that competition still exists. So the elections largely are within the party to send the best person, right? So here, I've argued that instead of parties competing for dominance, because it's a democracy, right? Candidates compete within their own party to represent the state. Who's the best? And then it's state primaries, but actual elections, right? Even though primaries are elections. And the candidates must appeal to their party's base and the moderates, focus on merit, ideas, and problem solving, and win the confidence of the majority of a place. It forces collaboration because we think collaborating is acquiescing, and there's two different things there, right? And so that means that we would stop ramming through legislation and blocking other people from just sitting, because the whole shutdown thing that has been happening for years is crazy. Now, the thing that I think is very interesting about this thing is the underlying principle of this is recognizing the problem is not who we elect, but it's the incentive structure in the election. The model realigns incentives so representation is inclusive and competition is about candidate quality instead of partisan dominance, because then you stop getting mediocre people. And governing requires collaboration and gridlock, because we want to go forward slowly, but we want to go forward, right? And so for this, the idea that from me putting different prompts in there, because, it only learns from putting good things in there. I mean, I guess it learns from bad things too, right? But you put stuff in there for it to learn. Requiring equal representation from both parties in every state would rebalance power, guarantee minority representation, reduce polarization, and shift political competition from party warfare to candidate quality. By forcing collaboration rather than rewarding obstruction, it structurally realigns Congress towards problem solving instead of partisanship. So you can have two parties, right? And the thing that, because I wanted to sort of expand on that, because the thing about it is just to make changes like this, people would have to agree. And then there's like legislative things, right? So my thing is that, well, how do we do this while avoiding a constitutional amendment and keeping competition alive, right? The strategy uses election methods, chamber rules, and state level actions that are legally feasible, right? So with that, for me, what I'm looking at here is, there would be fair representation via federal statute, states first, Congress later, ranked choice voting, independent redistricting commissions, and recognizing that, there's importance in having, states entering compacts, pledging to implement multi-member districts to understand this party and this party is there. It's almost like we want success to work together, right? Championship teams, they have stars on them. They were all stars from somewhere else, but those stars recognized the system was more important than their own accolades until after they won the championship. But you want to be great. You want to have multiple championships, right? And I think the thing that we miss is that the team is going to keep playing after us. Don't we want our teammates to keep playing, our kids, our whoever, right? So I look at that and I hope that when we make the decision to be better, because we have to make that decision, but to make the decision to be better, we try to go forward and be supportive, brain immunity, man. So I understand there's pushback. I understand people would be bothered. What's the pushback? The people who would push back in such a system are members in deep, safe red and blue places, because that's awful. But purple is royal. Purple is royal. And so what happens is those people with that job security disappears. But you're in an elected office. You shouldn't have that kind of job security because you're not a king or a queen or a royalty or anything like that. What job security? Because they don't have the stomach for term limits. Go away. National service done after a time. But there's also no more guaranteed wins, and you lose blocking power, so you just kind of have to deal with stuff. And it's okay. They would say, you know, this is going to confuse voters. Well, educate them. Or do you not want voters educated? So I say all that to say, I hope people find a way to deal with the issues. Come together. Because we want to. Success, man. Because the funny thing is, I forget which comedian said it, but a comedian said it. And they said, I didn't care about the police until I had stuff. And now I care about the police. We're all going to advance in life and have things and grow and advance. And so our ideologies politically and socially change. And so we'll move from being free because we don't have, so it's easy to be free, to having stuff and not being free because we use the thing that's most important and drives most of the issues we have, fear. We're afraid of losing stuff. Fear is normal. Fear is natural. The greatest fear is dying, right? And so I think it's the greatest fear. I'm unsure. Maybe some people aren't afraid of that. But anyways, we're going to make sure that we deal with the fear of those people one or two people who are in power, losing power, the state and national political organizations, PACs and super PACs, you know, mega donors, high net worth political people, whatever. Hey, man, let's be great. Always. Instead of again. Always. Going backwards, that's where the dinosaurs are. Why would I want to be oil and fuel somebody else's car? Fuel our car, your engine.